What would an app look like if privacy was not a setting, not a promise, and not a policy, but the architecture itself? Welcome to Wandt, Quick Take, an AI-narrated educational video series exploring important topics in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and technology. Each episode draws from source materials connected to Professor Adam Scott Wandt of John Jay College of Criminal Justice, including lectures, notes, research, recordings, and earlier works. The series is designed for public education and provides a cinematic overview of those materials. This episode was assembled using artificial intelligence. The final narration and presentation may not always fully reflect Professor Wandt's precise views, wording, or intent. We usually think of privacy as a series of toggles in a menu, but true protection relies on a system where data collection is physically impossible. Modern apps generate an extensive trail of telemetry by default. This includes crash reports, device identifiers, and behavioral logs that move silently from your phone to the developer's servers. Companies govern this flow through privacy policies. However, rules can be ignored, databases can be breached, and records can be subpoenaed. A zero-telemetry approach builds non-collection into the software's foundation. It moves the focus away from governing data and toward avoiding its creation. This design requires a deliberate subtraction of standard features. You remove the analytics pipelines, strip away third-party SDKs, and eliminate central user databases. While policies rely on human compliance, architecture creates a boundary defined by the code itself. Zero-telemetry relies on a local-first model. Application state, user content, and diagnostic logs are processed exclusively on your endpoint device. Features that typically require a cloud server, like search and indexing, happen locally on your hardware. When data must leave the device, the system uses zero-knowledge transmission. The app applies on-device encryption to the payload. The keys are generated and stored only on your device, meaning the service provider cannot read the underlying content as it passes through their infrastructure. Shifting the computing boundary to the user's device removes the developer's infrastructure as a primary target for data theft. These apps are sometimes described as functionally air-gapped. While the device stays connected to the internet, the software makes no silent background calls to the developer. This practice includes removing anonymous crash logs. In practice, these logs often capture sensitive device states and file paths that can be used to re-identify a user. The model introduces specific vulnerabilities. If compromised by malware or synced to an unencrypted cloud backup, local data is exposed. Developers also lose observability. Without telemetry, fixing bugs is slower, and recovering an account is impossible without the user's local keys. Zero-telemetry eliminates developer-side exposure, but it leaves the responsibility for endpoint security with the user. This design changes where digital evidence is located. Instead of gathering usage history from a central server, investigators must look to endpoint forensics and external network records. A company cannot produce data it never collected. By not possessing user records, the developer creates a hard limit on the information that can be exposed through a breach or a subpoena. Evaluating software requires looking past broad marketing slogans. We have to ask architectural questions. What data is created locally? What is permitted to leave the device? And which third-party libraries are embedded in the code? Privacy is most resilient when the most sensitive information is the data the developer never receives. Digital privacy depends on demanding software that requires less data to function. Like, follow, and subscribe for more deep dives into emerging technology, digital investigations, and the ideas shaping our future. And remember, stay curious and want knowledge. The conversation is moving from how data is managed to whether it needs to be collected at all.